You only need to know me. I will be the one.
Everything we know about One Piece is about to change. Everything. Maybe you've noticed, but the vibe of One Piece has completely shifted. Dark energy, you could say. The vibes are off. Whatever you thought about the One Piece world from Chapter 1 onwards, from the very first page of the narrator's words and introduction to this fantastical world of pirates, it started bright, sunny, with all the incredible and wildly ridiculous journeys that have transpired since, to the present moment and the lurking darkness that has descended upon Egghead Island in the form of the Gorosei, like fallen stars or fallen planets. By way of Saturn, we learned that the 5 elders of the world have not come to the surface of the earth in quite some time, and now these elders have landed like a meteor shower or asteroid crashing through the atmosphere to make impact. The shock and awe, the horror of those bearing witness to what is potentially the Gorosei's true appearance, true forms birthed from the shadows of their summoning. The horror of the witnesses resembles the reaction of mankind upon finally making contact with alien life. The overwhelming haki akin to an ominous spirit. There is a darkness here that cannot be compared to any other set of characters or moments in the story. Not even 100 Beast Kaido falling miles through the sky to crash into the narrative compares to what we are getting now. After all, it is one thing to challenge an emperor. It's an entirely different thing to challenge the world. The strength of Yonko pales in comparison to the power of history, especially when knowledge of it is forbidden. Forbidden knowledge can be a dangerous ability, a dangerous enemy. The agent of dark justice Rob Lucci's reaction in chapter 1111 lends itself to this sentiment, as his facial expression is one of pure terror. Something that I don't recall us seeing from Lucci at any point in the story thus far. You would think someone like him would have overcome this level of fear. Rob Lucci, a man soaked in blood and consumed by his own sense of dark justice. It would seem that his belief in necessary evil has finally been acquainted with the unsettling reality of true evil, a darkness even he was unprepared for, a darkness greater than his own. A darkness that delves deep into the murkiest waters of the One Piece world, concealing for far too long not just the existence of these demons, but how the world that they now rule came to be. And so, everything we know is about to change. Everything we once believed will evolve with the revelation Vegapunk is now ready to share. A major chapter to a story that was worth erasing an entire people for daring to read, much less tell. What is it that could be so damning that lies and death are preferable to truth and life? Whatever it is, Oda knows the stakes are high in terms of what his audience expects. The reveal has to be worth the suspense. All this foreplay has to be leading somewhere. Somewhere dark, even if light awaits on the other side. I personally think Oda will deliver. Deliver upon the warning from Nico Robin during Annie's lobby. A warning about this present moment, this exact moment on Egghead Island. That as she joined the Straw Hat Pirates, they too would now be pursued by the world and its darkness. So let's consider a few possibilities as to what Vegapunk's message and the broader truth about the One Piece world could be. Vegapunk announced that he would tell us the truth about this world, that he would pull back the veil, the curtains covering the windows to this imprisoned knowledge, exposing all that has been hidden, all that we have yet to see. I think this ties into a curious choice of writing Oda has embarked on during Egghead, as we have jumped around this arc to arc, from events of Luffy and the Straw Hats on Egghead Island to the Blackbeard Pirates here and also on other islands, their dark schemes. But more importantly, the darkness of the world that sits atop the holy land of Marijoa, that upon the reveal of the Gorosei's demonic forms, Sabo referred to that world as hell. Essentially, heaven was not real. Utopia has become dystopian. The truth that Vegapunk might plan to share could tie into the existence of a king of the world. The truth shared during Sabo's return from the reverie in the aftermath of the destruction of Luzia Kingdom. Sabo's conversations with Dragon and Ivankov exposing that the empty throne is not empty after all. Someone has been sitting there all this time, ruling our world from the shadows. Nerona, a name apparently found in a series of books in the Revolutionary Army's possession. Could these be some of the same books salvaged from Ohara? The same books Vegapunk appears to have read to advance his scientific knowledge and potentially support the conclusions about the world he is about to share. Were these books written by the scholars of Ohara, or were they found around the world, relics of the ancient kingdom, and brought back to that island, to Ohara? Like the poneglyphs, shouldn't the world government want this knowledge destroyed? Books that potentially contain some history transcribed from the poneglyphs, or maybe even knowledge that is not to be found on those indestructible stones. Either way, knowledge of the world and its darkness, what the past was truly like before it was swallowed by the present, chained and bound by the laws of the current world government. If these books contain information on Nerona, as well as the other kings that came together to create this world, these same books might have knowledge about the Gorosei too, even their magic circles and the associated demonic or yokai powers, knowledge that for whatever reason they sought to erase. I've had moments where I've questioned this elsewhere on this channel, but I do think it's important for all of us to ask, what could be so frightening that people cannot be trusted with knowing? What is the world government, the Gorosei, and at its peak, Nerona? What do they fear happening if people learn the truth about the world? What could currently be going on in the One Piece world that if you or I lived there, if you or I found out about it, what could currently be going on that would cause all of us to rise up in a collective and spontaneous rage? All differences set aside, as it would be our divisions that kept us from posing a threat to these celestial rulers. Why the One Piece world has been divided by sea and land, the four blues and the red in grand line. Maybe that is why Dracula Mihawk said Luffy possessed the greatest ability of all, the power to unite everyone from everywhere, people from all walks of life, pirates, marines, revolutionaries, ordinary citizens, kings and their subjects, all in one piece, all for one common goal, to be free. Is freedom so terrifying? Its potential consequence? Is this the question Oda has been posing to us readers through the characters in One Piece all this time? The notion of a world government that seeks to restrict those freedoms, even if it means slavery. The question that is asked, and the answer that Luffy's father, Monkey D. Dragon, a man of the wind that flows so freely. The question that Dragon is responding to. The answer he hints at giving. An answer to the king of this world, just maybe. That phrase, the world, tying back to Blackbeard and the Blackbeard Pirates, and Dragon telling us that the world awaits our answer. Perhaps an answer as to what justice truly is. How this world should be. Nerona is likely waiting on that answer, and it will be delivered either by Luffy or Dragon. The question, can one ever put a price on freedom? The notion of a gift and a curse. What if the blessings of freedom, the freedom to speak, to learn forbidden knowledge and taboo secrets, the freedom to travel freely, freedom of movement, wherever your heart desires, wherever your dreams carry you? What if that freedom is too dangerous? What if all this somehow nearly destroyed the world in the past? The fall of the ancient kingdom. The ancient kingdom possibly being a kingdom of pirates, a kingdom that was too free, ultimately destroying itself. A warning for Luffy's ambition as Pirate King when he says he wants to become the freest man in the world. If he is truly like Roger, then Roger was likely the same way. And so this warning might have been foreshadowed by the freest pirate crew that has existed under Roger, with Rayleigh's cryptic statement about the true history the Straw Hats would learn on their own when the time was right. When the time finally comes, what will they decide? But the threat that freedom poses to the rule of a world government that ironically divides rather than unites. The ancient kingdom might have been a kingdom of pirates united. And so the ancient kingdom requires unity between pirates, or unity between all free people. An alliance premised on our common value for freedom. And so the world government cannot allow this and seeks to keep us separated, fearful of other races. Humans, giants, fishermen, minks, and yes, even celestial dragons, even dividing humans against each other. The Shishibukai and the world government turning pirate against pirate in a wicked game of pirates are evil, but the enemy of my enemy can be a friend, until they too become a liability. And so an enemy still in the end. Even the four emperors, how Yonko is turned against Yonko, how the world government did not want the emperors to meet on friendly terms, opting instead for the balance of power to be preserved by their rivalry and eternal struggle for power. The seven warlords as pirates pitted against another pirate, Whitebeard, and his crew, as well as the son of the pirate king, who the world government likely feared would become the next pirate king, and unite the world under a banner of freedom. It's even possible that the Gorosei, answering the will of their creator, Nerona, believed that both Roger and Ace were to be the next Joyboy, and that their execution was hidden behind preventing the next Pirate King, when in reality, it was about preventing Joyboy's return. Needless to say, they were wrong, for it was Ace's adopted brother Luffy that arrived to the battlefield to foil the world government's plans of bringing an end to this age of piracy. Luffy, surrounded by all of these random friends and allies, even former enemies who had joined together out of a desire to be free from Impel Down's prison, united under the banner of freedom, the banner of Straw Hat Luffy, and the flag of the rising sun. The coming dawn foretold by King Cobra before he supposedly died, which takes us to Luffy versus Kaido, and how the world government planned on using Kaido to deal with the problem of Luffy for them. The Gorosei clearly hoping Kaido would kill Luffy to stop the return of Joyboy. This division isn't just happening, it's happening for a reason. And so the world government has preserved the balance of power by instigating a rivalry and eternal struggle for power amongst pirates. One might argue then that the title of Pirate King was a lie, a fable made up all this time. What I mean by that is Roger was searching for Laugh-Tale but seemed to have stumbled upon a treasure the original Joyboy left behind. Was that treasure always Roger's true purpose? Who can say? We now know the One Piece was wrongfully labeled as Roger's treasure. We also know Roger did not seek to become Pirate King. He did not crown himself a king. It was the world government that anointed him the king of the pirates. Why would they do this? Perhaps for a similar, although opposing reason to Roger's last words, that he had left a great treasure out there, the One Piece. Roger's final speech ensuring that the dreams of men would not die, the destiny of an age and freedom, to ensure that these things would never cease to be as they threaten the world government's existence. The world government's ambition to stomp out freedom. Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop believing, as the song goes. A story about the One Piece that would ensure people continue to set sail despite the wrath of the sea and its devils that seek to keep them trapped ashore. The classic fable of treasure that spurs our hearts towards adventure and liberates the mind of its anchor. No longer chained to the rocks, we emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. As long as the mind is enslaved, the body can never be free. If you know where those last two quotes are from, leave a like on the video or comment below. Even during Marineford, the death of Ace was meant to also break the backs of piracy, to cripple the spirit of adventure, to bring an end to dreams, to slay the god called destiny, freezing time and place so that change, the rise and fall of ships on the tides, would cease. But the world government failed then too, for just like Ace's biological father Roger, Ace's adopted father, Whitebeard, also kept the dreams of men alive, reminding everyone that the One Piece was real, in defiance of the world. I can only imagine the reaction of the Gorosei and Imu in each of these instances, as they were surely watching from high above. But making Roger the Pirate King, having emperors fight one another, what a coincidence that it might have been done for the purpose of keeping pirates divided. Whitebeard had no desire to become Pirate King, and so was more than willing to inspire others to keep on going, to find that treasure, to continue dreaming, a dream that unites us all, a dream that can ultimately only be achieved by those refusing to be slaves, refusing to be chained. And so the Void Century, the threat of freedom that potentially created and destroyed the ancient kingdom, too much freedom possibly led to the most powerful society the world had ever known. Too much freedom might have also led to its untimely end, its final ruin. We now have to ask, who is Joyboy? Where does Joyboy fit into all of this? What happened to Joyboy in the series of broken promises and apologies scattered across the story of One Piece for hundreds of years? 800 years ago, during the Void Century, the Sea Kings and Poseidon made a deal about the ship known as Noah, but Joyboy broke his end of the bargain. Recently, the Sea Kings made a move for the Noah, but it was still too early. Towards the end of Wano, world government ships reported the mysterious and sudden arrival of the elephant Zunisha. Similarly, we now see the ancient iron giant robot rising from the fires of Egghead Island, described by the world government forces and the Marines as a titan standing tall in the inferno, as it mumbles an apology, asking Joyboy for forgiveness. There is a theory that someone was trapped inside the body of Zunisha, or that Zunisha is a devil fruit user permanently stuck in elephant form, condemned to walk the earth for all eternity. And so maybe given Kuma's own mysterious power as a buccaneer that has been juxtaposed against the revival of this ancient robot, maybe the spirit of a buccaneer from the past was trapped inside of this robot's body. Or maybe a similar spirit akin to the Clobotoman found inside of the Going Merry. Or maybe this is simply the power of enduring will, an ancient form of energy. Will, like dreams, refusing to die. No different than the sun, an eternal flame. But even if none of this is true, there is a parallel here between the purpose of Zunisha, the ancient giant robot, their crimes, maybe, failures and apologies, and that of Joyboy's own broken promise. Why are these historical figures so apologetic, so remorseful, and still even now, so determined? What exactly happened in the past? Some claim the return of Joyboy is inspired by the religious and historical figure, Jesus, the resurrection of Christ, the miracle of his life, death, and rebirth, rising again after some time, a prophecy foretold that came true. In the scriptures, Jesus predicts his own death and resurrection time and again, telling his disciples on many occasions he would die, then rise, returning to this world. And so, like many a prophet or prophetic figure, like Luffy, what if Joyboy also had followers, disciples that have carried his will into the future, spreading the gospel of his life like Queen Nefertari D. Lili spreading the poneglyphs around the world, waiting for the promised day of Jesus or Joyboy's return, the return of a prophet, a savior, a warrior of liberation, to free this world from slavery, both physical and mental. There might even be a parallel between Oars Jr. going to Marineford to rescue Ace, and the ancient giant robot attacking the Holy Land of Marijoa. Oars Jr. going to rescue the man believed to be the next Joyboy. What was the giant robot after? To avenge someone, to fight the Gorosei and Imu Nerona. One last stand, to retrieve something, a precious treasure. Maybe the giant straw hat in the Holy Land that might have belonged to the original Joyboy, or to rescue someone that might be hidden away there, Could it really be that Joyboy is still alive somehow, despite us believing the Gomu Gomu no Mi or Devil Fruit of the Sun God belonged to him, and how the only way that ability could be passed down is if Joyboy died? That power now returning to the world via Luffy. Or maybe someone else is there. Maybe someone important to Joyboy that was captured and kept prisoner. Could it be that Queen Nefertari D. Lili did not die? Her mysterious disappearance. She is still alive, a prisoner somehow. A damsel in distress locked away in a castle no different than any other princess in One Piece that Luffy has rescued. No different than the descendant of Queen Lili, Princess Vivi. Queen Lili trapped by a devil, or the devil's power that awakened from the power of a dream that she and others had, and in turn forced Queen Lili into a deep slumber in her own body. Overtaken by the devil, trapped by a devil or the devil's power, such that the Queen of the Holy Land then became the King of Hell, the King of the World, Nerona. It's hard to say given Imu's name appears in one of those books mentioned earlier, which implies that Imu has been around for a long time, that Imu existed alongside Queen Lili and Joyboy. Maybe the name Mu refers to an entirely different person, and we have yet to meet the being that is truly sitting on the empty throne. But King Cobra did tell us that one of the first 20 kings that created this world was also called by that name, Nerona. But anyways, themes of slavery versus freedom, trapping someone in a dream or nightmares while you take over their body would align with that. Selling your soul to the devil is something people have talked about recently. What exactly are the Gorosei? Are they even human or demons or entities conjured from Imu's own existence? Imu's own darkness? Besides Queen Lili, what happened to the other 20 kings? Could it be that they were all absorbed by some kind of demonic being or devil too? Their souls stolen, trapped in one body from which Imu created 5 Gorosei. The rest reside within him, including Lili. Is Imu some monster or demon that was unleashed by the world in the past? The notion that curiosity killed the cat. Again, the danger of too much freedom, too much knowledge, adventuring, traveling too far. You unlock something taboo, and before you know it, the darkness of Pandora's box has consumed you too. The power you desired, the mystery you thought to unravel, is all that remains. If a battle was waged in the past involving a great kingdom, the ancient kingdom, who was on which side? What were the matchups? And why fight to begin with? People typically wage war because governmental leaders cannot solve their problems peacefully. Wars are usually fought by a country or a group of countries against an opposing force with obviously opposing objectives. Disputes that are economic, territorial, religious, political, civil, revenge, and ideological. I once took a class in college that had us read a book called Clash of Civilizations. In it, the American political scientist Samuel P. Huntington argued that the future of war, or that future wars, would be fought not between countries but between cultures. That our cultural differences would write the future of war for us. Could it be that a differing perspective of the world, cultural differences over government, tyranny versus freedom, and how you define either, autocracy versus democracy, in that sort of vein, could this explain the Great War of the Void Century that resulted in the ancient kingdom being destroyed? We know that approximately 800 years before the current timeline, 20 royal families from different islands across the world formed an alliance to combat the Great Kingdom. The 20 Kingdom Alliance was victorious, and 19 of the 20 royal families relocated to the Holy Land of Marijoa, essentially creating a new kingdom on top of the Red Line at the center of the world. But for some reason, the royal family of Alabasta, the Nefertari, refused to join, choosing instead to stay behind in their homeland. Clearly, something went very wrong. And there are those that point to the underground chamber where the poneglyph was found, and the hieroglyphics, the ancient symbols and writings on the wall. But these markings suggest a dark force that was either trapped or unleashed upon the world. Something I might dive deeper into in the future is Imu as a sort of embodiment of darkness. Imu's depiction is certainly darker than Blackbeard's, and the irony of such shouldn't be overlooked. Blackbeard claims to be a man of darkness, stating that he is darkness. But really, Blackbeard, like so many others, might simply be a product of the darkness of this world. The darkness of the king of the world Imu that was unleashed centuries ago. Blackbeard, the great destroyer, the manifestation of the desires of all those that want to end this current world order, but lack the strength or will to do so themselves. Just like people putting their trust and dreams and hopes in Luffy, there are those that do the same for Blackbeard. Desires born from the hellish life of suffering Imu's world government has introduced. But true darkness is unfeeling, callous in its cruelty, almost like a serial killer, void, empty in its ways of dealing. There is nothing to relate to because true darkness is nothing. It is something completely foreign to us. We often confuse wickedness and sin for evil, when in reality, true evil should be beyond our comprehension. Evil isn't human, and is rightfully seen as demonic, like Imu in the Gorosei. Imu also referring to himself as Mu, a name that translates to nothing, the void and so void century. A century of darkness created by Imu, maybe. Imu defeating evil in the past, only to become evil himself. A famous quote tells us that whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. You will become the very darkness you fought against. Maybe an original rendition of the now famous quote from the Batman movie, that you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Maybe this is Imu's villain origin story. And so, were Joyboy and Imu allies in the past? And did Imu become the very evil he had sought to destroy? A sort of scenario where Roger teams up with Rocks and Luffy teams up with Blackbeard. But instead it was Joyboy and Imu back then. Or was it no different than now in the recent past with Roger and Luffy being adversarial with Rocks and Blackbeard? And so, as we currently believe, Joyboy and Imu were enemies too. Beyond Imu, what if we are also wrong about Joyboy? Was he as good as we've been made to believe? Is it possible there's a dark side to him too? And should we draw a distinction between Joyboy and the Sun God? The Sun God NIKA. Are these two the same people going by a different name? Recorded differently in history? Or referring to the same person? Anyways, what I mean is, Luffy is not like the planetary Gorosei gods, but he is in some ways a planetary god or celestial body in the form of the Sun God. The other planets are supposed to follow the sun, maybe, and now for some reason have betrayed him and chosen to follow or orbit around someone else, Nerona. No different than other kings that have been overthrown in Oda's story, replaced by evil or ill-intentioned rulers. Could Luffy be similar to the ancient weapons that are named after planets then? Could Luffy also be a planetary god of destruction with the power to destroy the world? A darker side to Luffy's devil fruit, the Gomu Gomu no Mi's awakening. Have we seen what it can truly do? Notice what the Gorosei Mercury or Warkery says in chapter 1111. This Gorosei questions why the giants are protecting Luffy. Do they have any idea who that man is what he says. Almost as if Luffy was dangerous. Someone, something, that needed to be stopped. Mind you, Saturn has repeatedly hinted at having a historical relationship with the sun god NIKA, mentioning NIKA's name numerous times and implying that Bonnie did not fully understand Luffy's or NIKA's true purpose either. What if we have yet to see Luffy's true power? What if there is more to the sun god? A darker side to all this joy and Looney Tunes. Where there is sunlight, there is shadow. Nightmares to accompany dreams, as foreshadowed maybe during Thriller Bark with Nightmare Luffy. The prophecy from Madame Charlie that someone wearing a straw hat like Luffy would destroy Fishman Island. Could Joyboy or NIKA have contributed directly to the destruction of the Great Kingdom in the past? The story about the ancient weapons, as I mentioned. What if those stories are true? What if the ancient weapons, Joyboy and others, really did destroy the world during the Void Century? Could that be why all these figures are apologizing? And Blackbeard did question which will win, the light or the darkness. Could Oda be saving the darkness of Luffy's powers for later? What happens when a sun collapses into itself or dies? There are some scientists that suggest that while only massive stars can become black holes, that some stars might have black holes at their centers, a lurking darkness waiting to be unleashed. Or it could be that Luffy and Blackbeard are two sides of the same coin, but each serves a different purpose in Oda's story, like two sides of the moon. One side covered in darkness, the other basking in the sun's light. Just like there are two sides to freedom, the other side being anarchy and chaos. No different than that movie, The Purge. Or maybe that kingdom belonged to Blackbeard's bloodline, and Blackbeard's here for payback, for retribution. A bloodline hinted at by the Gorosei Saturn. If Luffy is the return of Joyboy, then Joyboy represents the ultimate freedom. Joyboy was the most free person to have ever lived, like the world's strongest titles, or recently, the world's smartest. You could say Joyboy was the world's freest man, bringing people together from all walks of life, and somehow the Sun God is tied to all of this, with some believing nobody truly dies because they live on in their dreams. Their legacy captured in devil fruits, including Luffy's, and so the Sun God and Joyboy might be one and the same. But something terrible happened to Joyboy right around the time the ancient kingdom disappeared, akin to a pirate crew disbanding, its members lost, scattered about the globe. Have we seen hints of this in the present storyline and its flashbacks? Roger returning from Laugh Tale, apologizing to Shanks. Some promise might have been broken, hinted at further by Shanks reminding Luffy at the end of the Marineford War of Luffy's promise to him, that it must be kept. Roger promising Rayleigh and the rest that he wasn't going to die. But he did, didn't he? Joyboy seems to have broken one promise in the past. But what if he made another? Another promise to make it up to you. A promise to make things right with those he let down. What if Joyboy also promised to return? And now he has. By some yet-to-be-revealed means. The ancient kingdom created devil fruits. There's dark magic and alchemy, technology and powers out there still that are beyond our understanding. It's entirely possible the ancient kingdom found a way to bring the dead back to life. A sort of resurrection that was hinted at during Thriller Bark. Like immortality, another one of mankind's oldest dreams. When does a man die? Only when they are forgotten. When does a kingdom die? Maybe when a people stop dreaming. So long as someone remembers your will, shares your dreams, you can be revived. At the very least, this seems to be how Joyboy survived. But as usual, we will have to wait and see. Don't forget to like the video, comment with your thoughts below, and subscribe. You can also find me on Twitter at the following address, @VinlandRagnar. My Twitter page is on the screen. Also check out my spoiler channel called Vinland Leaks, where I'll be covering the One Piece spoilers as well as turning your comments into videos. And check out the One Piece news channel, D News, where I'll be covering news in the One Piece community. Again, links will be in the description box and pinned in the comment section below. As always, there is more to come. Until next time.